Hello and welcome to the home of the Ghost Owl, continuing on with Warhammer The Old World Rulebook review. So we're now on to special rules regarding characters. Now there are a lot. There are a lot of rules around characters. We've broken it into two parts. So let's dive straight into it and see how we use our characters in the game. So characters are a special type of unit that can either operate on their own or can join another unit. Characters usually have superior characteristics compared to other units in their faction and often have a number of special rules and or unique rules as well. Characters normally have many more equipment options as well as access to magic items and in some cases mounts. All characters will have the word character in brackets after their troop type, so it's quite easy to spot them. Command range. So there's a number of rules we've even touched upon that mention command range. Well, a character's command range is equal to its leadership characteristic in inches. The Army General and the Battle Standard Bearer each have a command range of 12 inches regardless of their leadership. If the Army General or the Battle Standard Bearer has the large target special rule or is mounted on a model with this special rule, their command range is increased to 18 inches, which is actually very, very nice. So the Army General is the character in your army with the highest leadership. So you don't actually get to choose initially. However, if more than one character has this highest leadership, the player may choose the Army General. So if you've got two characters with leadership of 9, you can pick which one. Characters with the loner special rule, however, cannot be your Army General. So Inspiring Presence. We've seen a number of occasions where units can't use Inspiring Presence, but what is it? Well, unless the General is fleeing, all friendly units within the General's command range can use their leadership instead of their own. So, by that, then always try and rally your general first if he is fleeing with other units. Because if he's rallied and you've got another unit that's fleeing, that's within his command range, they can use his leadership instead. Right, the Battle Standard. So the Battle Standard Bearer is a heroic model carrying a banner and will be an option in the army roster. And if you're lucky enough to be Bretonia, you get it for free. Unless specified otherwise, the Battle Standard Bearer cannot also be the Army General. And unlike normal standards, if the Battle Standard Bearer is slain, other models cannot pick it up and the banner is lost. So if you've got a Battle Standard Bearer who's joined a unit, the other models in the unit don't pick it up, you can snipe him out and that banner will be gone for good. So a Battle Standard Bearer grants a bonus plus 1 combat result point even if another standard is present. If by some unusual circumstance there are 2 friendly Battle Standard Bearers in the combat, only 1 bonus can be counted. Again, I can't think of any occasions where that might be the case, but you never know. And then hold your ground. So a bit like Inspiring Presence for the General, this is for the Battle Standard. Unless the Battle Standard Bearer is fleeing, friendly units within the command range may re-roll any failed panic or rally test. In addition, any friendly unit in command range may also re-roll 2d6 when making a break test. So Battle Standard Bearers are pretty valuable overall, not only just in being the Battle Standard Bearer, but also given any magic standard they might have. So there's definitely good value in these. Troop type. Well, just like other models, characters have a troop type, and this may change if they become mounted. If a character has a cavalry mount, the model is treated as being the mount's subcategory of troop type. Unlike other mounted models, the character will have a split profile with the additions that when moving, the character will use the movement characteristic of the mount. And if the character has a monstrous mount, the model is treated as being the mount's subcategory, being the mount subcategory of troop type. So if his mount is a behemoth, then he's got the subcategory of behemoth, for example. So you have a split profile specifically for a ridden monster, and to be honest, it's pretty similar to that of cavalry. The main addition is the model uses the movement characteristic of the mount, but pretty much everything else is as per cavalry models. So the usual things there, you know, to hit rolls are made against the rider's weapon skill, you use the rider's armor value for armor saves, impact hits and stomp attacks use the mount strength, and then if it has all the wounds are reduced to 0, the model is removed from play. So pretty similar to cavalry, except you've got a character's got his own movement characteristic, but you put him on a mount, he only uses the movement characteristic of the mount. You can also have characters mounted on chariots, and oh yes, there you go, we have good old Cetra mounted on his chariot on the right-hand side, and again, pretty much the same split profile as for chariots, but to note, character crew beasts use their own weapon skill. In combat, all enemy hit rolls are made against the character's weapon skill, so even if there are crew, you ignore that. And enemy rolls to wound are made against either the chariots or the character's toughness, whichever is the highest. And also the same with the armor save. So the armor save uses the chariots or the character's armor value, whichever is highest. So a little bit of difference there compared to normal chariots if you have a character on board. Characters and formations. A character that joins a unit adopts the formation of that unit, but a lone character is always considered to be in skirmish formation. A character mounted on a ridden monster or a chariot adopts the formation of their mount. So, lone characters. A character whose troop type is infantry or cavalry that has not joined a unit is considered to be a lone character. During the game, a lone character may join a friendly unit. Upon joining the unit, it ceases to be a lone character. So, however, if you are a lone character, evade. A lone character that would be contacted by an enemy unit that is making a pursuit move can attempt to evade. Before moving, the enemy unit make an initiative test for the character. If the character passes his initiative test, he can move up to his moving characteristic away from the enemy unit, but he cannot use the move to become closer to other enemy units, so you must always be further away from the enemy. Once a character completes its move, the enemy completes their pursuit move. Targeting lone characters. A lone character cannot be targeted by enemy shooting or by enemy spells, whilst it is within 3 inches of a friendly unit that is not fleeing and that contains 5 or more models of the same troop type as the character, unless the lone character is the closest target. So some things to think about there in terms of those lone characters, the value of having lone characters. Personally, how often is there going to be value in lone characters? There may be some niche situations, maybe for example, where you want a wizard on foot behind a unit, so it's not actually in the unit, doesn't actually get caught up in the combat, where it restricts his casting. But he's obviously on foot the same, so he's obviously small enough to be out of line of sight, and therefore you can get the he can't be targeted, which would be a good one because he won't be the closest model. So lone character in that situation can be good, but I can't think of many other times when you'll want a character that's not riding some giant monster or on a chariot to not be part of a unit. Like I say, there might be some very niche circumstances, but I think by and large, you're really wanting characters to be in the unit. A lot of the times, characters give buffs to the units they're in. Plus, you've got to think what are characters there to do? Well, either it's a wizard normally to cast spells, which is why there might be a time when you don't want that wizard in a unit, but you need him pretty close by to not be targeted and be out of line of sight. You've got hero and lord style characters, well, they're doing damage, right? So if they're not on a monster, you really want to put them in a unit and add to a unit's damage to really help the combat result. And then you might have some other very specific characters, which are buffing units, in which case like priests and stuff, they want to be in a unit. The ones actually that do stick out of mind that you're pretty much always going to be fielding as a lone character are going to be engineers. So it's like a dwarf engineer or an empire engineer, and you're going to be keeping them with the war machines. But I think in most of those cases they will have rules that mean they can't just be picked out easily over the other war machines. So there's probably some sort of lookout sir there with that as well. So I lone characters, I wouldn't expect to see too many of them except on ridden monsters. Or say in specific situations. So that covers the first part of characters. We've still got quite a lot of character stuff to cover. So with that in mind, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Let me know why in the comments down below. And as always, if you want to see more content, hit that subscribe button. It's totally free for you to do. It means a lot for me, so thank you for that in advance. You've been watching The Ghost Owl, and I'll see you all very, very soon.